We are trying to find an alternative. If a weapon system gets too fearsome, then it obviously becomes questionable whether you're going to use it. What is very, very helpful about a neutron weapon is that it makes some rational sense for the West to use that. Deter the Soviet Union from attacking Europe. We're trying to stop World War III.
Of the effects of these weapons over large
Who questions that
land?
millions of people would die in a nuclear exchange in Europe? I mean, that goes without saying. You keep going back to the horrors of nuke weapons. We all know that nuke weapons do terrible things. That's why we're trying to stop World War III from happening. Is how do you stop it? Do you stop it by allowing the Soviet Union to gobble up the world? Or do you stop it by making it clear to the aggressor that he can't win? Historically, sir, can you show me a single time in all of man's history where an aggressor was stopped by anything other than superior force or the threat of superior force?
Well, I can't answer the question for all of world history.
Well, answer it for any point.
Well, I can't answer it for a large section of world history, but I can answer the question.
You know, when Mr. Wiley said that by Hitler, when the then Pope made an appeal for world peace, and he said, how many divisions does he have? Okay? That's what I just thought of as he said that.
That was Stalin's remark.
I'm sorry.
Right. By the way, it's attributed to both.
Yeah, okay.
I think that
But there is nothing...
One does not attempt to stop World War III by making World War III inevitable. And I'd like to raise an interesting point from Mr.
How do
Wiley.
you make it inevitable? By
answer.
making it clear to the other guy he can't
I'd
cross
like
the
to
line.
ask you, suppose the Soviet Union said, okay, that's fine, we'll let you go ahead and deploy the neutron weapon.
Mm-hmm.
We are not going to build one.
Well, of course they won't build one. They have absolutely no need for it.
What
we're saying is let us come up with a weapon that will do less destruction to our allies and make it a more credible deterrent. The problem is that your present tactical nuclear weapons are not convincing to the Soviet Union because they think to themselves, wait a minute, they'll never use these weapons against our tanks because they're going to kill too many of their own people. Therefore, we can take the risk of going into Europe. What we are doing is saying, let us make it clear to the Soviet Union that we have something short of all-out nuclear war. If they want to consider it a nuclear weapon when it's used against their invasion, there's nothing we can do about it, but they would have in any case.
I'm really appalled. I'm appalled that you are willing to accept the total destruction of the Northern Hemisphere as a means to protect Western Europe.
Any such thing.
But you're willing to accept the fact that
you haven't given us an alternative to making it clear to the Soviet Union that they cannot have Western Europe. Now, have you got a third alternative?
Oh, sure. Third alternative is several things. The first are conventional weapons.
No military, and certainly your organization would be the last one in the world that would suggest that we go on the kind of a defense buildup that would be necessary to match. We would have to put millions of Americans into uniform. The French, the British, the Germans, all of Western Europe would have to put millions of people into uniform. Nobody wants to do that, and it has absolutely no chance of happening.
Thousands of tanks spaced hundreds of meters apart, coming in waves into Europe. It is not going to take one weapon. You also have to consider that the area at which these weapons are lethal is very small. The area that a tank would be destroyed in the sense that its crew could no longer go on and fight immediately is going to be a couple hundred meters. That's it.
Right. By the way, you could make the same argument then that we shouldn't, by any stretch of the imagination, have normal artillery shells because they have even less killing power, and we have to use so many more times of those. I mean, that is an absolute idiotic argument.
Well,
is that by bringing down the kill force of a weapon, we're making it worse because we have to use more of them. Then we better ban rifles because, my God, they only hit a little tiny area. We have to do something to make the defense of Western Europe credible. The surest way to stop nuclear destruction is to avoid World War III. The only way to stop World War III is to make our defense against a Soviet invasion